Alan Gale is shoved toward an island where 10 skeleton soldiers wait inside deadly black mist. Powerful noble families chose him as their sacrifice because none of their sons wanted to die. Yet the mist awakens his universal enhancement system, which converts monster deaths into energy points. One energy point halves his bow's required pulling force, finally matching his painfully weak body. His system also reveals every skeleton through the mist by displaying their glowing health bars. Alan fires, once shatters a skull, and earns his first full energy point. Moments later, the supposedly helpless second son stands surrounded by 10 piles of broken bones. Instead of dying for another noble's ambition, Alan wins a pioneer charter of his own. Only hours earlier, Alan occupied the lowest seat among the noble candidates at St. Bridget City. He is the second son of the impoverished Gale barony, barely elevated above ordinary commoners. Every 3 years, the Falcon Kingdom grants 10 noble second sons permission to claim frontier land. For most candidates, the selection promises titles, estates, and a chance to build lasting power. For Alan, it seems like another humiliation arranged by people who consider his life worthless. During 3 miserable years, his family used him for unpaid labor around their crumbling castle. He fed horses, shoveled manure, chopped wood, and hauled cargo despite his noble blood. When he turns 17 next month, his father and stepmother intend to expel him penniless. Alan cannot even bribe the magistrate's guards when they offer exemptions from the dangerous challenge. Every other minor noble's son pays because the selected island contains supernatural creatures. The magistrate then threatens higher taxes against Alan's family unless he accepts the abandoned position. Refusing would only make his father punish him before throwing him from home. Alan therefore negotiates compensation rather than surrendering without extracting anything from the corrupt arrangement. He demands 1 gold coin, haggles relentlessly, and eventually secures 10 silver coins. Since his frail arms cannot handle close combat, he also requests a longbow. The magistrate announces his name while wealthy spectators openly mock his ancient, oversized silk clothing. Alan owns no armor, carries no sword, and clearly appears selected only to die. A smirking guard lowers the bridge and pushes him toward the floating island. The black mist immediately crawls beneath Alan's skin with the coldness of buried ice. That sensation reminds him this is not the world where his first life began. 3 years ago, Alan arrived here carrying memories from a modern life beyond 30. He once tried applying practical knowledge by turning manure into useful agricultural compost. The method succeeded, but his family rewarded him with 1 chicken leg and permanent fertilizer duty. His father declared the discovery a family secret while giving Alan neither credit nor freedom. After that experience, Alan stopped expecting intelligence alone to improve his miserable position. He also possessed the universal enhancement system from the moment he entered this world. It could inspect targets and supposedly strengthen almost anything by consuming accumulated energy points. Unfortunately, every attempt to earn energy through labor kindness or killing insects failed completely. The system remained useless for 3 years until the island's death mist surrounds him. A chime announces 1/10 of an energy point flowing directly into his dormant interface. Alan realizes the mist itself provides energy, so he endures the pain and waits. Upon reaching 1 point, the system presents 3 possible enhancements for his borrowed bow. He can improve firing speed, bow strength, or the damage caused by critical strikes. Alan selects firing speed because reduced pulling force matters more than raw power. The upgrade lowers the bow's resistance enough for his weak muscles to control it. Normal challengers can barely see 5 or 6 meters through the unnatural darkness. Alan instead sees 10 health bars floating clearly across the island through his system. His first arrow pierces a skeleton's skull and extinguishes the green flame inside. The collapsing creature rewards him with another full energy point, revealing the missing condition. Supernatural kills generate energy, while ordinary chores and harmless creatures provide absolutely nothing. Alan keeps moving, firing from beyond the skeleton's limited vision and avoiding their rusted weapons. One by one, the green flames vanish until the island falls completely silent. Outside, the mist noble sons begin wagering on how quickly the poor sacrifice will perish. Their fathers notice something stranger because the sounds of combat steadily decrease. The death mist finally thins, exposing Alan alive at the island's center. Broken bones cover the ground while his bow remains firmly raised in one hand. The magistrate had expected Alan's failure to end the round without risking anyone important. Instead, commoners erupt with cheers for the first minor noble son to win in years. Alan swears loyalty to King Dorian VI and receives his official pioneer charter. His triumph immediately turns bitter when he reads the territory assigned beneath the royal seal. Every wealthy winner receives fertile protected land across the kingdom's prosperous harvest plains. Alan receives the Desert of Death, a lawless wasteland filled with hostile tribes and monsters. The noble sons who previously avoided him now laugh freely at his impossible reward. A young noble named Jimmy eagerly spreads the news while jealousy transforms into pity. Then the magistrate approaches again and finally introduces himself as Frank of St. Bridget's City. Frank offers an awkward apology and reminds Alan that every winner receives additional equipment. Alan collects a workhorse leather vest, long sword iron shield, and Frank's personal bow. To someone who has never owned anything valuable, the equipment resembles a small fortune. Frank instantly changes from manipulative bully to smiling mentor after Alan proves unexpectedly useful. Alan recognizes the polished face switching of a politician protecting future connections. He accepts the letter of introduction Frank provides and prepares to leave immediately. Riding home alone allows Alan to inspect the 10 energy points earned from 10 skeletons. His next priority is correcting the physical weakness that ruined every opportunity in this world. Born prematurely, Alan never developed enough strength to cultivate his family's flame aura technique. Years of practice produced no spark because his body could not channel elemental power. That night near Springfield, he spends every remaining point enhancing his constitution. His condition rises from weak to normal while his strength increases nearly fourfold. His agility doubles, exhaustion disappears, and lean muscle forms across his thin arms. Alan can suddenly lift the heavy two-handed sword using only one hand. When he practices flame aura again, a faint red glow flickers across his palm. The technique had never been the problem because his body was the true obstruction. With enough elemental absorption, he can now form the battle aura seed he always lacked. Alan celebrates so loudly that local guards investigate reports of strange nighttime cackling. By morning, he has already ridden toward the Gale family's fortress above Mirror River. The castle is an ugly stone structure surrounded by a 30-foot defensive moat. Its guards stare when the neglected second son returns alone with expensive equipment and a horse. Alan hands over the reins and walks inside without explaining his victory. He finds his stepmother Mary resting in the parlor beside her personal maid Caroline. Mary's beauty keeps Alan's brutal father Sinclair obedient despite her cold and calculating nature. She does not ask about the selection and instead orders Alan back to the stables. This time he meets her contempt with a confidence she has never seen. Alan claims a nobleman in St. Bridget's City hired him to manage an estate. Mary gladly accepts his departure until he mentions a promised farewell payment of 10 gold coins. The entire Gale barony saves only a few dozen gold coins during a good year. Giving 10 to Alan would therefore feel like surrendering a painful portion of Mary's wealth. Sinclair never made such a promise, but Alan supports the lie with carefully chosen leverage. He says the payment prevents him from competing with Mary's son Nick for Cassie Farm. As the older second son, Alan possesses a legitimate inheritance claim over that small territory. He then releases a brief flame aura glow, proving his former weakness has disappeared. Mary and Caroline freeze because everyone knows Alan previously failed every cultivation attempt. Alan warns that he can remain until Sinclair returns and formally press his claim. His father is away suppressing a revolt alongside Alan's older half-brother and Earl Irving. Mary cannot verify the story before their return, leaving her trapped by uncertainty. She offers 3 gold coins while Alan continues demanding the full 10. When neither side yields, he proposes combining money with 2 valuable lifetime servants. Alan requests Thomas a steward trainee and Caroline Mary's educated personal maid. Caroline immediately panics because Mary once promised to help her marry into nobility. Alan calmly argues that Caroline's beauty already distracts both Sinclair and 13-year-old Nick. Mary understands that keeping the maid nearby could threaten her marriage and her son's discipline. She silences Caroline's protests and accepts a final payment of 4 gold coins. Alan receives both service contracts after guaranteeing he will never request future family assistance. He gains more wealth and capable support than he ever expected to carry from home. Caroline cries while Mary retrieves the documents that legally bind her service for life. Thomas possesses management training, while Caroline can read, calculate, and organize domestic affairs. Alan packs several linen shirts and the silver bracelet left by his late birth mother. Before he can leave Mary's daughter, Lilia quietly enters his nearly empty room. Lilia came from Mary's first marriage to a viscount's eldest son who died before inheriting. Although Mary favors Nick, she treats her own lonely daughter better than Alan. Nick bullies Lilia, and Alan remains the only sibling who consistently protects her. He comforted her with stories when she cried over the father she barely remembers. In return, the small girl secretly shared meat whenever Alan received insufficient food. Now she buries her face against his shirt and silently begs him not to leave. Alan gives her 2 illustrated princess books, purchased during his journey from St. Bridget City. Normally she would treasure them, but separation matters more than any story today. Alan reveals that he won a charter and promises her a room in his future castle. His territory may be deadly, but he refuses to burden Lilia with that frightening truth. She trusts him completely because he has never broken a promise made directly to her. While folding his few clothes, Lilia tries to hide the tears falling from her face. Before departing, Alan secretly gives 2 gold coins to the elderly steward John. The money covers 1 year of Lilia's tuition at the kingdom's noble academy. Mary never considered spending that amount on either Alan or her neglected daughter. Alan trusts John because 3 generations of loyal service never corrupted the childless steward. Should the desert of death kill him, Lilia will at least receive an education. Alan rides away while Thomas and Caroline follow on foot beneath the late spring sun. Even after the castle shrinks behind him, he imagines Lilia watching from her window. Thomas repeatedly looks back at the home where he served faithfully for 9 years. He often helped Alan complete physical chores when the young noble's body failed. Caroline instead walks with swollen eyes and open resentment toward her new master. She occasionally protected Alan from Mary's worst scoldings, but pride controls her behavior. Half a day later, Nick returns and reveals that Alan truly won the charter. Mary realizes she surrendered gold and servants because of a convincing deception. Her rage arrives too late because Alan and his companions are already far away. 2 weeks later, the group reaches Sandgate City beside the southern border. This crowded trade center is the final safe stop before the desert of death. Alan presents Frank's letter to Locke, the local magistrate, and Frank's former academy classmate. Locke explains that colonizing the desert became far more dangerous 2 years ago. The enormous wasteland touches 3 kingdoms of forest and distant grasslands. Refugees and outcasts survive around scattered oases where strength replaces written law. The neighboring kingdoms once supported competing proxy forces throughout the strategic region. Someone destroyed the Falcon Kingdom's entire desert network during a single, unexplained night. Rival kingdoms then placed rewards on every group suspected of supporting Falcon interests. Reporting such a settlement earns 1 gold coin, while destroying it may earn 10. A Falcon Pioneer Lord's head carries the same enormous 10 gold reward. 1 gold coin can transform a peasant family's future, making betrayal almost inevitable. Alan abandons his plan to recruit settlers publicly inside Sandgate City. Declaring his title would place a bounty on everyone traveling beside him. While eating rabbit at a street stall, he notices 5 suspicious men studying Caroline. Their supposed noble leader shares a table with servants, violating a rule every noble household knows. The men are imposters, and their hungry attention treats Caroline like valuable merchandise. Alan remembers Locke's warning that human trafficking flourishes throughout the lawless desert. A dangerous plan forms, while Caroline loudly complains about eating cheap roadside food. Alan slams his hand down and condemns her constant disrespect since leaving the castle. He produces Caroline's lifetime contract and announces that she is completely free. Surprise briefly hurts her, but delight replaces it when she verifies the genuine document. Caroline thanks him, gathers her skirts, and runs toward the northern city gate. Thomas watches with alarm while the 5 suspicious men immediately abandon unfinished meals. They attach their cart and follow Caroline through the crowded streets without noticing Alan's smile. He waits until Thomas finishes eating before beginning the second stage of his scheme. Near the gate, a man called Lancer approaches Caroline dressed as a struggling gentleman merchant. He offers inexpensive passage north, exactly where she desperately needs to travel. Caroline accepts before considering why a stranger would help a beautiful woman traveling alone. The cart soon leaves the main road and turns toward a deserted, overgrown path. Lancer's 4 partners surround her when she realizes they are traveling south instead. They bind her limbs, gag her, and hide her inside a grain sack. Their cargo contains only straw and dead leaves prepared to conceal captured victims. Lancer estimates Caroline will sell for several dozen silver coins as an educated slave. 10 kilometers behind them, Alan walks calmly, while Thomas struggles to understand the detour. Alan has discovered another free system feature, a living map surrounding him. Green dots represent allies, yellow represents neutrality, and red reveals direct hostility. Mixed shades display complicated emotions such as dislike, caution, affection, or concealed aggression. 5 dark red dots travel south beside 1 yellow dot carrying a red tint. Alan knows the hostile dots are Lancer's men, and the conflicted one is Caroline. His system map can track movement and expose intentions without consuming any energy. That ability will be priceless for ruling secret territory among enemies and possible traitors. Alan had recognized the traffickers before freeing Caroline and deliberately used her as bait. He intends to follow them into the desert, seize their destination, and gain inhabitants quietly. Public recruitment is impossible, but conquering a criminal group requires no declaration or official banner. For 5 days, Alan and Thomas trail the cart across sand that burns like an oven. Their water dwindles and Alan stops riding to preserve his horse's remaining strength. At last, the system map reveals a basin containing 52 people and 12 ruined buildings. Lancer's crew enters the settlement while frightened villagers serve them food beside a central fire. Alan studies every marker and finds that only the 5 kidnappers show true hostility. The villagers remain neutral, proving this is an oppressed community rather than a bandit fortress. Nearby settlements also surround the ancient basin where underground water remains accessible. Alan decides to kill the traffickers, claim the village, and begin building under a hidden identity. Falcon Law grants him 3 years before he must declare himself and pass royal inspection. Until then, strength can create the foundation that his dangerous title currently cannot provide. After nightfall, Lancer's men drink and discuss selling Caroline at Red Wolf City. Caroline hears that they intend to abuse her before collecting a full gold coin. Bound inside a shack, she regrets her arrogance and believes Alan cannot possibly find her. She also understands that her former master has no reason to rescue someone so disloyal. Unknown to Caroline, Alan already waits 50 meters from the celebrating kidnappers. He equips his leather vest straps on his sword and orders Thomas to remain hidden. 4 men sit near the campfire while Lancer leaves briefly to prepare himself. Alan's first arrow strikes the loudest kidnapper during the middle of his laughter. His second arrow enters another man's neck before anyone locates the attacker. The remaining pair scramble through the dirt and flee from the shadow holding a bow. 1 arrow wounds a leg, and Alan's next shot finishes the stumbling target. The final runner nearly escapes the clearing before an arrow drives into his back. Lancer emerges furious, sees 4 bodies, and immediately retreats behind a locked wooden door. He offers Alan the entire settlement, assuming a desert warlord has attacked his territory. Alan abandons the bow, draws his sword, and repeatedly drives his shoulder into the barrier. Lancer barricades himself with an axe and threatens assistance from neighboring communities. Alan suddenly stops, creating enough silence for the frightened man to approach and listen. When Lancer presses against the door, Alan punches directly through the wooden planks. His enhanced fist shatters the kidnapper's cheekbone and sends him collapsing across the floor. Lancer mistakes that strength for a titled knight's cultivated battle aura and begins begging. He offers his camp, his possessions, and even the imprisoned woman as payment. Alan explains that the settlement is already his and Caroline belonged to him first. Recognition crosses Lancer's broken face immediately before Alan's sword ends his life. In the rear room, Caroline stares at Alan's bloody weapon with complete disbelief. She bursts into tears and lunges forward, but he calmly steps away from her embrace. Thomas soon arrives carrying a thick stick and warning that someone escaped toward another settlement. Alan already sees 12 approaching men through the system map and feels no concern. He orders Lancer's corpse hung from a pole above the bodies of his followers. The display sends a simple message before the neighboring group enters the moonlit clearing. Their leader, Val Ironhide, freezes upon seeing the blood-covered stranger beside the corpses. Alan asks whether they came to support Lancer, keeping his drawn sword visible. Val immediately denies any alliance and the map confirms cautious neutrality rather than hostility. He reveals that Lancer murdered the settlement's former leader, his adoptive father Joe. Neighboring communities wanted revenge but avoided conflict because of old family connections. Killing Lancer therefore removes a hated tyrant without creating the enemies Alan expected. Alan declares ownership of the settlement and Val accepts according to the desert's simple customs. Whoever conquers and holds a place rules it, because no kingdom enforces law here. Alan introduces himself without revealing his charter and promises peace unless others cause trouble. Val agrees to remain a good neighbor and advises his men not to provoke Alan. The system tracks their private discussion while they walk back through the darkness. They suspect noble origins from Alan's pale-skin armor horse and disciplined manner. Val dismisses the possibility of a pioneer lord because Alan arrived without hundreds of followers. Back inside, Alan shows Thomas the royal charter bearing the Falcon Kingdom's steel seal. The servant finally realizes he will manage an emerging territory rather than another household. Alan has captured his first settlement, but keeping it alive will demand more than strength. Caroline watches Thomas study the charter and understands how completely she misjudged Alan's future. She kneels, admits her disloyalty, and begs to remain beside the newly recognized pioneer lord. Alan initially offers safe passage back to Sandgate City instead of restoring their former relationship. The kidnapping has destroyed Caroline's confidence in traveling alone through the borderlands. She also realizes that serving a rising lord could fulfill ambitions Mary never intended to honor. Alan finally permits her to stay, but only after imposing a humiliating punishment for repeated disrespect. Caroline accepts because returning north now feels more frightening than submitting to his authority. The following morning, she brings wash water early and performs her duties with remarkable care. Alan recognizes genuine effort beneath her embarrassment and postpones the remainder of her punishment. Outside, Thomas gathers every surviving resident so their new master can inspect the settlement. 49 villagers from 11 households stand before Alan in ragged clothing with hollow faces. Thomas expects an inspiring speech, but Alan knows empty promises cannot satisfy starving people. Food creates loyalty here, while reliable abundance can eventually create devotion. He sends everyone back to work and asks Megan Sandworm to explain their economy. The settlement survives by harvesting fire dates and digging ancient iron fragments from nearby ruins. 5 mature trees produce roughly 100 fruits daily outside the harsh winter season. Each fruit sells for 1 copper coin, barely supporting the exhausted families who harvest them. The villagers cannot expand their orchard because ordinary desert sand kills every planted seed. Their small growing yard contains expensive black soil imported from outside the contaminated wasteland. 1,000 pounds costs about 1 gold coin, placing meaningful expansion beyond their reach. Worse, the thirsty trees depend on a well whose water level has steadily declined. Megan expects several remaining years, but Alan's system reveals a far shorter deadline. The well holds less than 1 meter of water and will completely fail within 1 year. Without water, the trees die, the income disappears, and the entire settlement collapses. While Alan studies the well, another system chime awards 1/10 of an energy point. No monster has died, leaving him uncertain about the unexpected source. A second chime sounds as nearby women remove ripe fruit from the orchard. Alan orders another fruit picked and receives the same precise amount again. Production inside territory under his control generates energy exactly like killing supernatural creatures. The system was never broken during those wasted years because Alan simply owned nothing. His settlement now appears outlined in green across the map with his name attached. Every harvested crop can fuel improvements that produce even more crops and future energy. Alan immediately imagines a self-sustaining cycle capable of transforming the entire wasteland. However, purifying 1 square meter of natural desert soil requires 2 full energy points. Converting even 1 acre would consume thousands, making direct restoration impossible for now. Imported black soil requires only 1 point per cubic meter to improve its fertility. Water remains the immediate priority because 1 enhancement to the well costs 10 points. With 100 fruits harvested daily, Alan can earn that amount before nightfall. Farm production will improve the water. Expanded water will support more trees, and growth will accelerate. Before he can begin, Val Ironhide arrives and offers guidance through the local ruins. In daylight, Val appears like every hardened desert resident sunburned beneath tangled, dusty hair. He explains that settlements possess assigned scavenging zones to prevent constant conflict over buried iron. The Red Wolf Gang dominates the regional trade from its fortified base in Red Wolf City. Small communities receive 5 copper coins per pound, although outside buyers pay 3 times more. The gang keeps the difference while claiming payment for suppressing dangerous supernatural creatures. Smaller neighbors remain the greater daily threat because no authority punishes theft or murder. Val wants to renew the alliance once maintained with Joe before Lancer seized control. Alan accepts because local knowledge matters as much as combat strength during these early days. Half an hour later, they reach the shattered remains of an enormous ancient capital. 8 outer fortresses surround the central black nest, where death mist covers countless dark creatures. Their assigned zone lies within Dead Knight ruins named after a legendary monster sighting. Ragged workers dig pits through collapsed streets using wooden hoes and crude shovels. The visible surface was emptied centuries ago, so scavengers search for corpses buried underground. Dark creatures use those bodies to generate death mist and gradually expand their territory. During periodic surges, powerful factions kill the overflow before villagers expose the buried remains. Sunlight neutralizes the corpses, leaving fragments of ruined armor and weapons for desperate workers. 35 villagers normally recover only 10 pounds of iron during an exhausting day. Then Alan zooms his system map inward and notices faint white markers beneath the streets. Those markers identify metal deposits hidden under walls, alleys, and collapsed building foundations. Everyone else digs blindly, while Alan can direct workers toward the richest exact locations. He chooses a foundation and orders one group to abandon their nearly empty pit. Half a meter below the new spot, a shovel strikes metal with a sharp ringing sound. Workers uncover several corpses carrying more iron than they usually find throughout an entire day. Megan praises Alan's astonishing luck while he quietly marks broader zones for other teams. One perfect discovery looks fortunate, but endless perfect guesses would invite dangerous suspicion. Leaving Thomas in command, Alan walks toward the inner ruins to hunt supernatural prey. Workers become scarce as he approaches the wall separating safer streets from the death mist. A skeleton emerges carrying a thigh bone, its green soul flame burning inside an empty skull. Alan uses Lancer's old axe instead of wasting arrows or damaging his valuable sword. One overhead swing crushes the creature and grants a full energy point. 2 more skeletons stumble forward and 2 efficient blows scatter them across the stones. Sunlight reduces these monsters to clumsy targets without the concealment of supernatural mist. During half an hour, Alan destroys 20 skeletons and earns 20 energy points. He spends everything on 2 constitution enhancements, pushing his strength far above ordinary humans. His statistics now classify him within the earliest stage of Bronze Knight development. Progress slows after each enhancement, yet his growth still surpasses months of normal training. Dead Knight ruins can become a private hunting ground and an inexhaustible advancement resource. Alan moves deeper until sharpened instincts warn that something dangerous hides nearby. His map reveals one hostile dot concealed inside a ruined building roughly 100 meters away. The creature is a dark hound with greater agility than Alan and enough strength to maul him. He draws his sword and approaches casually, pretending the hidden predator remains unnoticed. At 3 meters, the beast explodes from cover with exposed red fangs. Alan leans backward and holds the blade upright, letting the hound impale its own body. The creature crashes into stone with its belly torn open, yet rises without feeling pain. Its second lunge ends when Alan sidesteps and severs the neck with 1 downward cut. The difficult kill rewards only 1 point, exactly matching the weakest skeleton. Before Alan can complain, several howls answer from deeper inside the ruins. Fast red dots race across his map, revealing an entire pack responding to the death. He retreats for several minutes until the pursuing hounds finally abandon the chase. Alan learns that these creatures hunt together and cannot be challenged carelessly yet. During his return, a faint green marker appears among the ordinary white iron deposits. The valuable object lies beneath a street already occupied by another scavenging group. 8 men surround Alan and threaten him with wooden clubs for entering their claimed zone. Their largest fighter presses a weapon near his face and orders him to disappear. Alan catches the club with one hand, preventing its owner from moving it even slightly. He drags the man forward and kicks him hard enough to throw him across the ground. A left hook shifts another attacker's jaw, while a shoulder strike breaks through the next. 3 men collapse within seconds, forcing the remaining fighters to reconsider their courage. Alan steps through their formation and turns so nobody can attack from behind. The survivors surrender the territory, collect their injured companions, and abandon several pounds of iron. In this desert, they would have beaten a weaker stranger without hesitation. Alan accepts the same brutal rules and orders his villagers to dig toward the green marker. Megan soon raises a complete dagger whose blade remains untouched by rust. The system identifies trace mithril within the metal, preserving it for more than 1,000 years. Its value reaches at least 5 silver coins, exceeding weeks of ordinary settlement earnings. By dusk, Alan's directed workers have collected more than 50 pounds of iron. Their haul quadruples the settlement's normal production and strengthens belief in their new leader's fortune. Caroline has meanwhile organized the orchard housing and storage records without further complaint. Alan places her over production because she reads, calculates, and intimidates dishonest workers effectively. Thomas receives authority over labor teams inside Dead Knight ruins as the future steward. That evening, Val invites Alan to meet the leaders of 4 neighboring allied settlements. Around the campfire sit Warren Hall, Peter Kowang, Leona Goldfish, and Evelyn Bloom. Warren is a broad, muscular man who immediately offers to strengthen Alan's thin frame. Peter mocks Warren's eating habits while carefully maintaining the appearance of a fallen aristocrat. Their familiar argument shows an alliance held together by shared hardship rather than strict hierarchy. Leona crosses the fire, kisses Alan's cheek, and welcomes him with fearless confidence. Evelyn offers a quiet greeting before retreating behind her shy and cautious manner. The leaders toast Alan's arrival with sour rum and surprisingly satisfying food. Leona's rabbit tastes better than anything Alan has eaten since entering this world. Conversation soon turns toward a mysterious young fighter who defeated 8 scavengers earlier that day. Witnesses describe shattered jaws, cracked ribs, and an entire street surrendered without resistance. Val worries the violent stranger may seize Allied territory next as his expansion continues. Alan finally admits that he is the supposed maniac responsible for the attack. Silence follows until the leaders react with excitement rather than condemnation. Strength establishes legitimacy here, and defeating 8 bullies proves Alan belongs among them. Leona notices his combat training and asks whether his manners conceal noble birth. Alan needs a believable history that hides both his charter and Falcon Kingdom allegiance. He claims to be a commoner driven into exile by a disastrous romance. According to his invented story, a beautiful noblewoman provided his education, clothing, horse, and training. She later chose another man while her powerful family forced Alan toward the desert. The sympathetic listeners assume cruel relatives destroyed a sincere relationship across social classes. Alan then reveals that the woman was married and her husband personally expelled him. Everyone nearly chokes as the tragic romance becomes an affair with a married countess. The embarrassing detail makes the false story seem too ridiculous for anyone to invent. His new allies accept him as a heartbroken commoner seeking a fresh beginning. Leona offers private companionship afterward, but Alan declines to protect his focus and secrecy. Back in the orchard, he spends 10 energy points upgrading the failing well. Daily output rises from less than 1 cubic meter to almost 3. Babylon now possesses enough water for drinking, cooking, livestock, and future trees. Alan returns without announcing the enhancement and lets the villagers discover it naturally. At dawn, Thomas awakens him while shouting that the well multiplied overnight. Fearful residents now regard Alan with respect after 2 impossible improvements follow his arrival. He suggests divine favor without confirming anything and renames Joe's settlement Babylon. The name comes from a legendary wonder in Alan's former world built amid harsh land. If his system works as expected, this settlement may eventually deserve that ambitious comparison. Later, Val reports that a raider named Moral seized a nearby street and captured its residents. Alan establishes a routine of morning aura cultivation and afternoon monster hunting. He earns 31 points, spends 30 on Constitution, and raises his strength 5-fold above normal. By late afternoon, he enters Moral's newly claimed territory, intending to expand Babylon again. 4 men are restraining a village woman while her injured husband begs helplessly nearby. Alan interrupts with mocking applause, forcing the attackers to release their victim and face him. He identifies Moral and announces that the street now belongs to Babylon. The raider threatens brutal retaliation and orders every man to attack together. Alan crosses the distance before their slower bodies can form a proper defense. One full-force kick cracks Morrel's ribs and throws him unconscious across the stones. A left hook drops the next attacker before a second blow finishes his resistance. The remaining pair turn to flee, but controlled punches leave both unable to stand. Alan awakens Morrel and repeatedly strikes him until threats become sobbing apologies. He orders the raiders to leave forever and warns that returning will bring death. 21 captured villagers receive a choice between returning home or joining Babylon. Every person stays because their previous leader failed to protect them from Morrel. Val and Peter arrive after the fight and marvel at Alan's second conquest in 2 days. They worry Babylon's old well cannot support more than 70 residents. Alan reveals the expanded water supply and both men stare downward in envious disbelief. Babylon now controls 3 scavenging streets and produces many times its former daily output. The following morning, the Alliance travels 20 kilometers to trade at Sandrat Town. More than 40 people escort 2 carts through dunes watched by hidden opportunists. No raiders challenge such a large convoy, allowing them to reach cultivated land safely. Sandrat Town possesses a freshwater lake, wheat fields, and orchards surrounding permanent buildings. Compared with Babylon's crumbling houses, the settlement resembles a prosperous green kingdom. Alan immediately considers how such valuable land might one day fall under his control. Harris Sandrat rules the town through bronze knight strength, greed, and calculated terror. Wooden poles lining the road display more than 100 corpses from disobedient settlements. Children hang among the victims and several bodies remain fresh beneath the desert sun. Alan suppresses his anger while Val bribes gate guards with 20 fire dates. Inside, hundreds of settlements crowd shops, taverns, and trading yards with their weekly goods. Roscoe's trading post maintains separate lines for small suppliers and recognized commercial partners. Partners receive faster service and better payment but must supply large weekly quantities. Babylon remains below the population requirement despite producing enough iron under Alan's guidance. When their turn arrives, the manager Jock reacts skeptically to Alan's youth and recent conquest. Workers place Babylon's iron on the scale and record more than 200 kilograms. The amount doubles anything Joe's settlement previously delivered during an entire week. Jock suspects hidden stones and orders every sack emptied across the trading yard. Only genuine iron fragments strike the ground, silencing nearby merchants and laborers. Alan then presents the mithril dagger, whose perfect condition instantly changes Jock's expression. Their negotiation begins at opposite extremes before settling at 5 silver coins. Jock still refuses partnership because only Roscoe can authorize exceptions to established requirements. Inside the payment building, Alan notices Roscoe's daughter Tessa reading behind the counter. She possesses golden curls, blue eyes, refined clothing, and the sheltered appearance of nobility. Warren admires her hopelessly because Roscoe intends to marry her into a kingdom family. Even Harris Sandrat was rejected, proving how high the feared merchant has placed her future. Alan recognizes the memoir in Tessa's hands and criticizes its bitter lessons about romance. He explains that its repeatedly divorced author ended wealthy, independent, and emotionally alone. Tessa becomes curious when Alan recommends adventures and hopeful stories better suited to her age. She questions why a young man knows so many books written for girls. Alan claims romance literature teaches gentleness that complements stories of war and conquest. He adds that he hopes to share genuine love someday, then politely prepares to leave. Tessa stops him, asks his name, and notices the noble education behind his carefully restrained manners. Alan offers only hints of a painful past and describes himself as leader of a tiny settlement. She imagines a fallen young aristocrat struggling honorably within the wilderness. When Tessa offers assistance, Alan reluctantly mentions his rejected request for merchant partnership. He promises Babylon can satisfy the iron quota despite possessing fewer than 100 residents. Tessa considers the matter simple and orders a clerk to register Babylon immediately. The clerk protests that Roscoe must approve exceptions, but Tessa refuses to withdraw her decision. She signs the contract herself and makes Babylon an official partner of the trading post. Alan thanks her warmly, while allowing her to believe she rescued a struggling young lord. Val drags him away after spotting Roscoe returning with several armed guards. The merchant resembles a violent criminal despite producing such a gentle and educated daughter. Roscoe soon learns that a strange boy approached Tessa and received unauthorized partnership. His anger concerns access to his daughter far more than the insignificant commercial privilege. Tessa blocks his guards and threatens to abandon her future journey into the kingdom. Faced with her tears, the feared merchant withdraws and promises not to pursue Alan. Far away, Alan enters Sandret Town's only soil shop beside a bewildered Val. The manager, Courtney, has raised black soil prices while blaming increasingly dangerous trade routes. A huge pile of discounted yellow dirt remains unsold after previous buyers discovered its uselessness. Courtney mixed valuable black earth with contaminated desert sands, creating soil where nothing survives. Alan's system reveals something the embarrassed merchant could never possibly understand. The cheap mixture requires only 1 energy point per cubic meter to become fertile. Pure desert sand needs separate purification and restoration, making it twice as expensive to enhance. Mixing contamination with healthy soil somehow allows the system to bypass that first costly step. Alan secretly tests 1 portion and watches it transform into ordinary productive earth. Every kilogram of expensive black soil can now cover roughly 3 times its normal area. He loudly claims the yellow mixture will support vegetables and offers to buy the entire pile. Courtney eagerly agrees if Alan also purchases several hundred kilograms of genuine black soil. Alan demands the original lower price on that portion in exchange for clearing Courtney's failed inventory. The manager accepts because removing his personal loss matters more than protecting his employer's margin. Alan purchases more than 1,000 kilograms of mixed dirt and 300 kilograms of black soil. He also acquires 4 young fire date saplings, consuming nearly all his available money. Mature trees never enter the market because each one produces income every day. Val explains that full-grown specimens still exist within unclaimed oases controlled by wild beasts. Hunters visiting Leona's establishment may know where those valuable locations remain hidden. Alan visits the entertainment district and finds Leona supervising a crowded courtyard and kitchen. She agrees to locate information but reserves the right to request an unspecified favor later. Alan accepts, cautiously refusing only demands that threaten his survival or dignity. Leona soon identifies 3 wild oases containing fire date trees beyond settled routes. One lies southeast near Babylon, while 2 more dangerous sites stand together farther southwest. Alan returns home with soil sapling supplies and a plan to multiply farmland cheaply. At dawn, workers begin blending 2 portions of contaminated earth with 1 portion of black soil. Alan leaves Caroline supervising the orchard and rides alone toward the nearest unclaimed oasis. Beyond the endless dunes, his system map reveals predators surrounding several mature fire date trees. Alan approaches carefully and confirms the nearest oasis contains wolves, foxes, and oversized sand rats. None possess supernatural strength, but their numbers make careless movement unnecessarily dangerous. Among the vegetation stand 5 fire date trees, including 2 fully mature giants. Alan digs up the 2 smallest saplings because larger trees require more workers and carts. He avoids killing the wolves before reinforcements arrive, fearing blood may attract magical beasts. Back near Babylon, Val stares at the valuable saplings and agrees to support a return expedition. Alan gathers 20 villagers, 2 carts, leather armor, and his upgraded longbow. From a distant dune, the workers watch 7 desert wolves spread into a hunting formation. Alan enters alone and deliberately strikes the trees until the entire pack emerges. His first arrow wounds 1 wolf before the alpha orders a coordinated attack. 5 wolves charge from 3 directions while Alan drops the bow and raises his fists. A right hook cracks the first skull and throws the animal sideways. 2 more wolves fall beneath consecutive punches before their teeth reach his body. The alpha attacks from behind exactly where Alan intentionally leaves an opening. He sidesteps, catches its tail, and drags the larger beast into a waiting fist. When the injured alpha tries escaping, Alan pins it and crushes its skull. The ordinary animals provide no energy, confirming only supernatural creatures reward his system. Val and the villagers enter slowly, staring at 6 dead wolves scattered around Alan. They dig up the remaining trees and load both valuable trunks and wolf carcasses. Babylon receives 5 new trees, several saplings, and enough meat to feed families for weeks. Caroline rushes forward to inspect Alan for wounds before admiring the profitable trees. Her immediate concern for his safety reveals loyalty growing beneath her ambitious personality. Workers combine contaminated dirt and black soil according to Alan's carefully calculated proportions. After planting, the system warns that one mature tree will die from transplant shock. A single energy point restores its vitality and stabilizes the roots completely. Alan now possesses the only method capable of transplanting mature fire date trees reliably. He spends the remaining afternoon directing iron workers and hunting another dozen skeletons. That night, 2 well enhancements raised daily water production to nearly 5 cubic meters. The estimated lifespan expands to 5 years, removing the settlement's immediate extinction warning. Villagers discover another supposed miracle at dawn, but Alan orders Thomas to keep it secret. Over 5 disciplined days, he cultivates aura hunts, monsters, and improves Babylon's resources. His strength reaches nearly 7, while the enlarged orchard produces 150 fruits daily. Passive agricultural energy now supplements the points earned through dangerous hunting expeditions. Alan returns to the inner ruins and lures 7 dark hounds into a narrow alley. Confined to frontal attacks, the pack loses every advantage provided by numbers and speed. His axe splits each skull until 7 bodies block the ruined passage. With the hounds removed, Alan finally walks directly into the Black Death mist. Energy pours into his system at an intoxicating rate far beyond ordinary monster hunting. Within minutes, his total rises past 200 points, while the surrounding mist visibly thins. Something inside Black Nest awakens and releases the screams of unseen war horses. Hundreds of hostile markers surge toward Alan, including ghouls and corpse serpents. Their strength exceeds his by enough to tear him apart in moments. Alan runs for more than 10 minutes until sunlight forces the pursuing creatures backward. He survives with 230 points, nearly 10 days of normal hunting. Spending most of them raises his strength above 8 and his agility even further. He understands that draining too much mist alerts something powerful inside the fortress. Future harvesting must involve smaller portions taken from rotating sections of the boundary. On the return path, a woman's scream pulls Alan towards several newly displaced hounds. Evelyn Bloom is trapped atop a broken wall, while 8 creatures circle below. The surge Alan triggered forced them into a zone where settlement workers were scavenging. Accepting responsibility, he approaches with his axe while Evelyn desperately warns him away. 8 hounds charge and 8 clean swings break their skulls within 1 minute. Evelyn cannot climb down, so Alan offers to catch her without creating unnecessary confusion. She loses her grip and falls directly into his arms, turning bright red afterward. Alan quickly places her down because her jealous husband Dandy already suspects every nearby man. Evelyn explains that Dandy forced her workers close to the dangerous inner city for extra iron. Val and Warren soon arrive with a rescue party and find Alan surrounded by dead hounds. They reveal Dandy drains Evelyn's settlement while claiming to work with a Red Wolf City gang. That evening, Alan further upgrades Babylon's well until irrigation and larger growth become possible. Needing more workers and trees, he explores the 2 distant locations identified by Leona. The smaller oasis contains ordinary predators and 7 recoverable fire date trees. The larger Death Oasis feels unnaturally quiet despite possessing abundant vegetation and water. Alan's map reveals hidden life nearby, yet ordinary health bars cannot identify the threat. Moving plants expose carnivorous magical vines camouflaged against the forest floor. Each level 1 vine controls several tendrils capable of striking within 50 meters. These predators explain why hunters entered the oasis and never returned. Avoiding their marked ranges, Alan discovers more than 30 undisturbed fire date trees. 22 are old enough to justify transplantation, including several mature giants. He returns to the edge and discovers his horse missing without blood or signs of attack. Human footprints lead away while the map shows 8 hostile dots escorting the stolen animal. Alan follows across burning sand until he reaches a settlement controlled by a man named Danny. Guards deny knowing anything, but their fear confirms the horse is hidden inside. One tries pushing Alan, so 5 slaps remove several teeth and drop him twitching. A second guard receives the same lesson before agreeing to reveal the stolen animal. Danny and 6 armed men attack from an alley while demanding Alan leave their settlement. Alan knocks away Danny's axe and breaks his ribs with 1 direct punch. Every remaining fighter falls within seconds beneath hooks, crosses, and shoulder strikes. Alan discovers they also stole a camel worth more than his horse. Danny confesses his well is failing and that he planned to abandon more than 30 villagers. The thieves robbed caravans to finance escape while their trees withered from dehydration. Alan dismisses Danny's crew, confiscates the camel, and gathers the abandoned population. Two dying fire date trees recover after receiving 1 energy point each. The new settlers dig up both trees and collect every handful of valuable imported soil. Babylon welcomes 37 additional people, 2 trees, a camel, and Alan's recovered horse. Val laughs that Alan lost 1 animal and returned with an entire settlement's wealth. The next morning, Alan rotates to a fresh section of death mist and absorbs 100 points. He escapes before another surge can catch him, leaving larger settlements confused and furious. Several dozen Babylon workers then return with him to the paired gourd oases. Guided by the map, they avoid every carnivorous vine and remove 22 marked trees. Babylon's orchard expands to 35 trees during its first week under Alan's rule. Mature trees produce hundreds of fruits daily, greatly increasing passive energy generation. At the next market, Babylon delivers nearly 1,000 pounds of iron and over 1,000 fruits. The enormous shipment proves Tessa's partnership decision correct and prevents Roscoe from retaliating openly. Alan bribes Courtney with smoked wolf meat and receives discounted black soil without Harris noticing. Leona later supplies 5 additional oasis locations and warns of beast folk raids near Red Wolf City. Before Alan can explore them, a larger settlement called Na claims every local scavenging street. Bigger groups are retreating outward because Alan's repeated mist harvesting triggered unnatural monster surges. His secret actions have accidentally pushed powerful competitors directly toward Babylon's territory. Val recommends surrendering and working for Na in exchange for reduced earnings. Alan refuses because Na's leader is not a titled knight and therefore remains within reach. He captures 2 injured dark hounds alive and hides them inside sealed linen sacks. The following morning, Nabrisselman arrives with 400 residents and 30 armed fighters. His lieutenant Neo strikes Megan and orders Babylon to abandon every claimed street. Alan catches Neo's punch with one hand and repeatedly hits him while holding him upright. 5 guards flee after watching their leader lose consciousness without landing a single blow. Na marches forward personally carrying a flawless military battle axe. When 30 fighters charge, Alan throws both sacks into the center of their formation. 2 furious dark hounds burst free, scattering the entire force through instinctive terror. Ney attacks alone, but Alan sidesteps and crushes his wrist until the axe falls. Several punishing blows force the settlement leader to surrender and recognize Babylon's authority. Alan confiscates the battle axe wagon and 12 blocks of abandoned scavenging territory. Babylon now controls more land than its population can possibly work. Alan decides to recruit smaller settlements at fair rates instead of forcing them into submission. He also recognizes the need for a trained guard force rather than constant personal intervention. During the victory barbecue, Martha reports that Evelyn's husband has returned and is beating her. The Alliance travels to Evelyn's home while screams carry across the dark settlement. Dandy accuses her of infidelity because Alan shared wolf meat and accepted a handmade shirt. Val explains that every Allied leader received meat, but the jealous man refuses reason. Dandy then demands 10 silver coins from Alan to forgive the imagined relationship. His willingness to sell his wife's honor exposes greed rather than genuine jealousy. When Dandy raises another hand toward Evelyn, Alan catches his wrist and steps forward. A long sequence of slaps removes threats' teeth and every trace of arrogance. Dandy finally begs for mercy and offers Evelyn to Alan like transferable property. Alan gives Evelyn the decision because she endured the abuse and controls the consequence. Unable to order a death, she banishes Dandy permanently from her settlement. Alan warns that returning or harming Evelyn again will bring immediate execution. Though suspicious of future revenge, he doubts the man possesses any genuine gang connections. Back at Dead Knight Ruins, Alan discovers 30 strangers secretly digging on Babylon's unused streets. They surrender immediately because stories describe him as a one-man settlement destroyer. Instead of taking their small haul, Alan offers legal access for only 20%. Other groups charge nearly half, so the grateful leader promises to recruit several settlements. Alan transforms unused territory into passive production without feeding or managing additional workers. His reputation now attracts cooperation faster than violence ever could. After organizing collections through Thomas, Alan rides outward to explore Leona's newest oasis locations. Across several days, he finds dozens of young and mature fire date trees. Many are too heavy for the camel, so he records their locations for future expeditions. At the largest oasis, two groups face each other beside the forest in a deadly standoff. One group contains families and wounded hunters, while the other consists entirely of armed men. Hidden among the trees, Alan learns the hunters discovered two newborn magical beast cubs. The Venom Fang Brotherhood stole them and now intends to eliminate every witness. Gang leader Dudley orders all hunters killed while keeping the women alive. The outnumbered families collapse quickly beneath men carrying clubs and blades. As a spiked weapon descends toward Morris, Alan's arrow pierces the attacker's neck. A second bandit falls before Dudley locates the unseen archer inside the forest. Alan shoots 3 more during their charge, then abandons his bow for the battle axe. 10 attackers surround him, but none possess enough strength to survive one full exchange. Blood crosses the sunlight as Alan cuts through men already marked completely hostile. Dudley offers silver gold and promises a peace when every underling falls. He also threatens revenge from the Brotherhood's true leader, Ezra Venom Fang. Alan refuses because leaving murderous enemies alive only allows the weeds to grow again. One axe swing destroys Dudley's shield and buries the blade inside his chest. Remaining bandits flee, but Alan uses a recovered bow to prevent any survivor escaping. Morris and the families kneel in gratitude after the entire execution squad dies. He explains that 2 ground spike lizard cubs caused the slaughter. Adults grow 8 meters long beneath heavy armor and summon spikes from the earth. Properly trained, each cub can become a war beast, feared even by titled knights. The Venom Fang camp holds roughly 50 men under Ezra's command at another oasis. Alan agrees to attack that night because Ezra lacks the strength of a titled knight. Families hide safely while Morris and 5 hunters guide Alan toward the bandit settlement. The camp contains no women or children, confirming it functions purely as a criminal base. Morris attacks from the front while Alan circles behind hidden sentries using his map. Ezra stalls the hunters with false negotiations while 6 men prepare a rear ambush. Alan quietly joins the ambushers and warns Morris at the moment they approach. Arrows drop several bandits before Ezra realizes one supposed follower has betrayed him. Alan slaps the confused boss and reveals that he entered specifically to kill him. Ezra's strength reaches 6 respectable against ordinary fighters, but insufficient against Alan's 9. The battle axe descends before Ezra finishes another threat and kills him instantly. His followers rush forward, yet Alan's greater speed prevents any meaningful counterattack. The survivors scatter, but his system map exposes every hiding place across the settlement. 10 minutes later, the Venom Fang camp contains no living enemies. Inside Ezra's room, 2 armored cubs rest inside a straw-lined wooden crate. Their bodies resemble small pangolins with thick legs and bony spikes along their backs. Their eyes remain closed, allowing them to imprint on the first creature they eventually see. Morris covers their faces with cloth so Alan can become that first permanent bond. The hunters willingly surrender the cubs because Alan saved every surviving member of their families. Alan recruits Morris and his people as Babylon's first specialized hunting group. Every hunter appears bright green on the map, confirming sincere loyalty and gratitude. A buried clay pot contains 5 gold coins and hundreds of silver pieces. The camp also yields a wagon bronze alarm bell, weapons, food, rum, and useful supplies. Alan burns the bandit settlement and returns toward the oasis where the rescued families wait. During daylight, he searches the vast forest despite wolves and a dangerous sand leopard. 21 additional fire date trees stand there, including 4 fully mature specimens. Morris considers farming such thirsty trees irrational until Alan promises water will never be Babylon's weakness. 5 days after leaving, Alan finally approaches the green orchard surrounding his settlement. Caroline runs from the gate and embraces him before remembering her usual dignified behavior. Thomas and every allied leader had repeatedly asked whether Alan survived the solo expedition. Morris initially mistakes Caroline for Alan's wife and looks stunned when introduced to the maid. Alan places the newcomers under Thomas and Caroline while arranging the recovered loot. He then visits Dead Knight ruins to reassure Val, Warren, Peter, and Evelyn. Nobody challenged Babylon during his absence because the brute kid's reputation now rivals mid-sized leaders. 5 small settlements already work under Alan's 20% agreement across the northern streets. Their markers glow green because his terms multiply their income while protecting them from larger groups. Babylon's own workers collect roughly 250 kilograms of iron each day. Contracted settlements produce another 100, providing Allen a valuable share without additional expense. More groups request access, but every available street has already been assigned. Allen sees that fair treatment can absorb neighboring populations without battles or threats. Each grateful settlement becomes a potential future district of his hidden pioneer territory. The orchard hunting team merchant partnership and scavenging network now reinforce one another. Fire dates generate energy. Energy improves water, and water supports continuing agricultural expansion. Iron provides currency, while affordable work agreements extend Allen's influence across the ruins. Morris offers wilderness knowledge that can locate beasts, oases, and threatened travelers. Thomas provides reliable administration as the territory's increasingly confident future steward. Caroline controls production records and household organization with growing personal loyalty. The Allied leaders gain security because Allen's strength discourages every surrounding aggressor. Even Babylon's name has begun spreading beyond the basin where Lancer once ruled through fear. Yet Allen still conceals the royal charter and his allegiance to the Falcon Kingdom. Rival kingdoms continue paying gold for information leading to pioneer settlements like his. Harris controls Sandrit Town, Roscoe watches him suspiciously, and Red Wolf City dominates regional trade. Black Nest remains filled with stronger creatures and an unknown presence sensitive to stolen mist. The two ground-spike lizards may become terrifying guardians, but their eyes remain closed. Allen therefore possesses growing opportunity alongside dangers capable of destroying everything he has built. That night he stands beside Babylon's well and studies its current production limits. The settlement now supports more residents, trees, workers, and livestock than anyone expected. Future arrivals will demand irrigation far beyond the original failing source. Allen opens the Universal Enhancement System while the quiet orchard rustles behind him. 100 stored energy points represent monster kills, harvested fruit, and productive labor. He directs the entire amount into another major enhancement of Babylon's water supply. The system accepts the investment as the well begins changing beneath the darkness. Allen's first territory has grown from a dying village into the foundation of a hidden domain. Beside Babylon's upgraded well, Allen completes another decisive step toward surviving the desert of death.